Meet Bruce. He's an expert in part attribute characterization. He's been invited by Jim to help his company's supply chain get back on track and become a winner again. They have lost their ability to compete in today's competitive market due to obstacles that sink so many manufacturing companies. Poor RFQ response for machined parts. Parts and the raw material that go into them are too expensive. A large number of suppliers that are difficult to manage. Multiple sites buying identical parts but using different part numbers. Jim tells Bruce of his dream in which his company has better information and visibility into the raw materials and off-the-shelf components that go into his parts. He explains that raw material costs represent 30 to 60% of the cost of his parts and that the complexity of his supply chain puts him at a disadvantage relative to his competitors. Bruce explains that his dream can become a reality by using part attribute characterization, a proprietary software-enabled process in which critical information associated with a customer's parts and assemblies is documented. This is done by using digital blueprints, CAD models, or other engineering data provided by the customer, loaded into Supply Dynamics proprietary software that facilitates the characterization process and eliminates any deviation from customer-approved taxonomies or classification protocols. Supply Dynamics Engineering Services team then reviews each drawing, documenting required attributes. These are credentialed engineers with many years of actual experience. In all cases, raw material attributes such as form, alloy, grade, specification, and starting stock dimensions are captured. Other attributes such as manufacturing processes, special processes, alternative materials, part weights, export control status, quality and safety requirements, and finishes can also be recorded. Bruce explains that the proprietary software not only enables the rapid completion of work, but ensures accuracy. Each part is reviewed by at least 2 engineering professionals in double-blind fashion. Any attributes that do not match are reviewed by a 3rd engineering professional, and if necessary, a 4th. This ensures near 100% accuracy. Bruce explains that once the process is complete, Jim and his group have the option of inviting Tier 1 through Tier N part suppliers to verify that the part attributes in the system accurately represent what the part suppliers are purchasing. This is especially helpful for understanding unique starting stock preferences and for soliciting then-in-effect manufacturing lead times or other customer-desired input. This part attribute validation process is extremely important because it demonstrates to anyone that will use the data, such as mills or distributors, that the information is reliable. Jim asks Bruce what sets Supply Dynamics apart from all other companies that may be willing to do this work. Bruce informs him that Supply Dynamics has performed PAC on tens of thousands of part numbers for some of the most successful companies in the world, including companies in the aerospace and defense, automotive, industrial, oil and gas, energy, and electronics industries. Bruce also explains that during the part attribute characterization process, Supply Dynamics can create a true multi-echelon or indented bill of material, not just something single-level. This is important because it makes utilization of the data so much more valuable, revealing how the parts are organized into subassemblies and assemblies and who actually procures and supplies raw material in those tiered relationships. Bruce tells Jim's group that Supply Dynamics is as obsessed about data security, intellectual property, and export controls as they are. He reassures Jim further that, for some projects, only employees of certain nationalities or with certain security clearances will ever see their data. Part attribute characterization is performed in-house under secure and monitored conditions and not by questionable third parties. If necessary, SD staff can work at the customer site or license the part attribute characterization software to the customer so that the customer's own engineers can do the work and still obtain the accuracy and efficiency that the software brings. The Supply Dynamics Engineering Services team has vast experience with all types of machined and fabricated parts and the materials that go into them. Because of part attribute characterization, Jim is able to match part attributes to supplier capability and direct more business to fewer suppliers. Reduce RFQ cycle time and the number of no bids by 50%. Understand common raw material requirements and part equivalency relationships across the extended enterprise. Leverage that understanding to drive cost savings, inventory, and lead time reduction. And collaborate with all of the stakeholders in his supply chain, including mills, distributors, processors, manufacturing sites, and outside part suppliers. Part attribute characterization works. Increased visibility leads to better pricing, terms, and service, and fewer problems and issues in the supply chain. Jim is finally getting the information that he needs to make the kinds of proactive decisions that will make his company successful.